Definitely a lot better. All right, anyway, here we go. I still sound really weird, but this is our second podcast, episode number 2. Last podcast, we discussed what we did, our past, how we got brought up into fishing and kayak fishing, and that sounds a lot better, I think.
Keep going. Got brought up into kayak fishing
and where we're going now and everything, and we left off at a couple past tournaments last year, and we're going to go into this year, and we're going to talk about one Blue Marsh tournament, and then we have Mock Chunk that we did. Those 2 past tournaments we're going to discuss about, and then we're going to go into what's up and coming, which is the Susquehanna, and thank God, a river. Susquehanna and then Delaware River.
Yeah, so I was actually just thinking as you were talking there, I thought Mock Junk was before Blue Marsh. But no, we had Blue Marsh first.
Blue Marsh.
Together we were on, and the start there, that was, I still have one of the lures I cut off from that tournament, which was the popper.
The popper.
And, it was a perfect setting for something like that as we were... when we launched, it was we were kind of advised not to go here, because it was limited trailer parking and stuff. And but we asked some questions, figured things out, and decided we were going to do it. And thankfully we did. I mean, it was a good, a cool experience that we were first ones there at launch, and another fellow angler pulled in after, and he lit up all the whole woods with his with his LEDs, and he gave us enough light to look through. We had 6 feet side to side when we launched. There was a 6-foot stream that was coming out of Blue Marsh, and the wood lines were basically 3 feet to each side. It was 2 feet of water, and the water was 54 degrees, while it was 76 degrees and 80% humidity in the morning first thing. So we had very warm, muggy temperatures, and the water was freezing cold. I'll never forget that. Yeah. We ended up paddling through here. To what were we? Eight people, single file.
I think it was.
Some people had their props down for pedaling, and we had to decide when it was to pick them up, put them down. The turns that were coming up, we navigated through Woody Creek and came out at the Blue Marsh. So, JR, any more on the travel in? A couple of things that happened that were very interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting where we launched from. I mean, the stream was no more than 4 or 5 foot wide. Very cold, spring-fed stream. The gentleman that was behind me with the green LEDs kind of lit up the way, like you said. It's pretty cool. Like, the YouTube video is on our YouTube right now, 570 Kayak Fishing.
Yeah, it was pitch black.
Yeah.
We had the kayak lights in our depth finders basically to give us the light that we wanted, and we didn't want to put headlamps on, whatever, trying to light it all up. It was really cool to just go through there very calmly.
Right.
What is it? We launched 5:15.
5:15. Lines in was at 5:45.
Yeah. So
anyway,
sun wasn't up for another 2 hours then, and Timmy, as we start going this creek, I mean, the creek was about maybe 100 yards, that we navigated. And, Timmy early on within the first 20, he said, there's a snake. So he had a snake actually come up through his pedal drive on his Hobie and crossed over his boat and, jumped back in the water.
Jumped by again. Little water snake.
As we all enjoyed the laughs of that, in the pitch black.
Yeah. The video is pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I captured, some of it at least, and then we kind of all came into an agreement where instead of all single files, to start in the stream, all single file, we made it out to where it opened up a little bit and kind of all sat there until we were able to launch. So everybody agreed on that, and it worked out fine. And then, then we were on our way, and let's discuss, where we started and why we wanted to start there.
Well, that was about the highlight of my day there. So I don't know how much better it's going to get from that, but
yeah, it's tough.
It's good to take those moments in. It wasn't a bad day for me. When we came out to the water, when we start launching, we were all still discussing and stuff and having a good cruise through the water, calmly, and came around the first couple bends, and I could tell there were fish there. Seen them on a depth finder. JR pulled off earlier than what was discussed.
I pulled off a little earlier than what I wanted to. I saw. I thought top water bite should be going pretty good at that point of the year and in that area, and then I pulled off a little earlier because I saw some pretty decent grass beds and everything like that I wanted to throw the frog into. And at that point, no one else came that was in that group when we left. No one else came behind us.
Came through, yeah. And we had 6 other people behind us. I kept going to the point JR stopped, and I had a plan to go even about almost 3/4 of a mile further. And so in your thoughts, I mean, you basically. You were thinking frog. This is the perfect spot for the frog. You maybe seen some fish just like I did, and it was a perfect time to stop because we had about 10 minutes you could settle in. Yeah. Before lines in. Yeah, and then you got 2 strikes on it, right? You have two.
Oh, I definitely had 2 strikes on it right off the bat. I even had more strikes on it as I worked up that bed. But
so that was all a connection though of what you had kind of for lack of better words right now, manifested that you visualized through that scenario, and you got the strikes, and whether it led the fish or not, it gave you the opportunity.
The opportunity was there. It presented itself. I got the strikes. I think they were small fish. They were short striking it. There was one that I did hook into and popped off, within 5 or 6 seconds. But either way, that's the nature of the frog. It's hard to hook a fish with a frog. I mean, the hookup rate.
Especially the average fish in Blue Marsh. We're talking an average about 14.5 inches. Across the board. And how many anglers do we have for that?
35.
30 something. I think maybe 60 to 90 fish. I forget if it was 60 or 90. Yeah. But average 14.5 fish with a 3 fish limit. I was very pumped going into the event. We fished a couple weeks prior to that. 2 weeks we pre-fished that, and I caught smallmouth, largemouth, and mix of fish, and also pulled in an 18-inch. So I was very, very hopeful and
that 18-incher. Yeah,
so I had replayed those things and was visualizing that through, but it took me a little bit to hook in. I saw a lot of fish rising. I saw some bass that were right on the edges of grass, and I kind of was, I lost focus a little bit. There's no doubt about it. I had, immediately within 20 minutes, there was other anglers around me, and I wasn't really expecting that for Blue Marsh. I know at 7 o'clock we launched early. Actually, we got there 4:30 launch for 5 o'clock. No, it was 5 o'clock launch. Because of the boat traffic that Blue Marsh can get pretty hectic. So, I mean, it was by 5:15.
But you're talking about traffic as in other kayak.
Yeah, there was a kayak and then a boat right behind it. Not long after. So, which came right below me. So, but I'm not gonna. That's fishing. I mean, they're out there to do the same thing and have fun and catch fish. Yeah. But it kind of. I had rethought my plan through, so I kind of got punched in the mouth. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Didn't dwell on it, and continued on. It took me a while to catch some fish. To be honest with you, I don't even know what time that was. I think I do know I ended with 3 fish I caught that were submittable, but 2 of them I caught late in the day after 12 o'clock, and I could not get service to submit them. So So I battled a little bit of that. I had some other. I'll let JR go a little bit more on Blue Marsh before I beat the shit out of it. Well, it wasn't a bad experience for me. It was just I haven't thought about it in a little bit, and it wasn't the greatest of days for me. Although I could have landed myself in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Despite not being able to upload or.
Right. And kind of, you, and Tim kind of had. We'll get into the uploading pictures and Tourney X thing in a little bit, but for me, after that top water, bite was there for me a little bit, I kind of went back to my original plan and came up that side the opposing side that you were on that finger, and I hooked into a pretty nice smallie with a chatterbait at one point on the yak rod, and then he got off right away. It was like kind of a very unexpected cast and a bite, but I didn't get a good hook set. Lost him. If you watch the video, you could see that he flopped off. As soon as he came to the surface, he spit it. But not shortly after that, I did try that for a while after the chatterbait, and then shortly after that, I went right to a wacky setup with a Senko, and caught all my fish on that. But the thing, going back to the beginning of this tournament, and I discussed this in the video of the tournament, but I don't know about the 3 fish limit, man. I just don't like that. I like the 5 fish is like standard.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, this is what the difference is. So you have the 5 fish limit. Even though they might do it because they know it's a very pressured lake and you might not catch your limit, and they want people to catch your limit and everything, but it comes down to one big fish. That person that's going to catch that 19, that 20-inch fish in a 3 fish limit, that automatically puts him there.
Which I think the biggest fish there was 17 3/4.
No, there's a 19. 19. Yeah, the kid that Timmy was down by.
Okay.
But
yeah.
He ended up and he won the tournament. But I mean, that's just my point of view on it. I don't hate it. I don't like it, but it's just my point of view on it.
For me, it took the pressure off a little bit. To fill bag and fill your limit, and so I wouldn't. It was good for that reason. But
heck, when we were pre-fished that, we had our, if it was 3 fish limit, we had our limit filled in the first 2 hours of the day.
Yeah, exactly. It was different. I mean, that was the other thing I was hopeful for the 3 fish. It's kind of bittersweet for me because I know that there is a huge advantage, of course. 3 fish, having one big and everybody else has 3 small. Yeah. So it's
comes down to winning the tournament. You got to catch fish.
It's a different drive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you're right though. I mean, I hooked into 3 fish. I think there was only 2 or 3. I don't know how many people actually cold fish either. So I haven't looked back and I haven't really thought about it.
I don't think there was that many people.
I think it was 2 or 3, and that was it. So for culling fish, I mean, that's at 3 and culling. So you're catching 2 people, 5 fish. So a good call to even it out a little bit more as far as this tournament goes. I think it does even it out. But in a whole, if there's a standard, if there would be one standard, I think 5 fish is the way to go. Of course, I mean, there's a different drive. I was a lot more conservative in catching because you can catch 3 fish. I did it 12 to 12:15. I caught 3 fish.
Yeah, and
I was able to submit them. I was top 10. I couldn't submit 2 of them because of service as we were leaving. Phone getting hot, 90 degrees. They were supposed to be overcast. The whole 9.
Oh God.
So, yeah, it a standard 5 would be.
I got up. I got ready that evening. It would have been Saturday evening. This tournament was on a Sunday. I got ready on Saturday evening, and my wife said, "Are you wearing a black shirt tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be overcast all day." So the weather said it was baking, 90 degrees sun all day.
It was the most underrated 90-degree day ever.
Yeah. Muggy,
I mean, we have a 90-degree day like that.
No wind.
In the beginning of June.
Yeah, it was rough. But I just, like I said, I switched to a wacky rig then, and I just kind of wackied my way up through that, that edge, and I came upon that small little cove, and that's where I caught, oh yeah. Before that cove, I caught a catfish on a wacky rig. That was, I thought I had a monster on. Either way, got him off, worked my way up a little bit further, caught my first submittable fish, a bass, off the bank, and then I got up into that little cove area, and I noticed, some decent weed growth in there, grass bed, and I marked a couple fish, side scan within that grass, and kind of flopped my wacky rig all in there, and it was just the one spot. I got a good hit, caught that one, submitted that one, and then I kind of wanted to leave it alone. So I kept going up that bank, and then it was just kind of boat after boat after boat, and that's when I made that long run straight out into the main section of the lake, across the main section of the lake, and then over to the bridge. Fished around there for a little bit. Nothing. I could tell it was hit pretty hard. There's, anywhere from 10 to 15 boats around you pretty much all day, and then I came flying back to that same cove exactly where I caught that fish, flipped my Senko in there, and boom, got another one. And that one bumped me up. I think that was like my bigger fish, and when I say big, I think that was like my 15 3/4.
Big for Blue Marsh.
Yeah, big for Blue Marsh. It's
bigger than average.
I mean, I'm sure there's your.
You were zooming around. I had asked you the other day where your travels were, and I lost sight of that. And
I did.
I didn't realize you were up and back. Twice. To very far ends, very far points on that lake.
Yeah.
I'd made it to just the first point, which was only a quarter mile to a half mile past my original paddle in. My plan was to come all back to launch.
Yeah.
And that was deterred early. So when I came up to the point, I thought it was really nice. But, when it was, mid-morning there around 10 to 12 o'clock, it was, steady heavy with traffic. And, there is a no wake zone there. Blue Marsh, there is a no wake zone. But, there's a couple times where I caught myself, even a jet ski would come by doing 60 miles per hour and just turn a U-turn right on me. And you get one shake into the trees and you got 4 rods stuck. And those it got choppy fast, so you didn't want to be out there. It was good, it looked good. I did talk to the winning angler, and that's where he was. He was rounding that point and doing the same things I was doing, and there was he
that guy did win it.
It was a challenge. It was just an uncomfortability, that you went from 20 feet of water to 4 feet of water, and they were in between that, and in between that though was the biggest wake area, where the wake would die down. So that wake zone was very, very close within. And
in that area there was 100 grass beds too.
Yeah, and there was a ton of beds.
Ton of grass in that area.
So it was very, very enticing. There was other elements for me, which of course, that's where the sun was beating straight down because there was no cover at that point at midday. So the boat traffic, the sun beating down, and only having a fish on the board, that's a I think any angler can relate that can be struggle. Came back through, and I did the lazy man. Fishing on the way back, and I basically dropped Senko as I was trying to come down the bank, keep covered, from the sun. And I had, I always wear shorts, and I'm not afraid to go shirtless, fishing all day in 90 degrees. But this day I had, my legs were covered, I was getting pretty hot. So, when I pull up to the bank, I kind of dropped my Senko and just let it sit there for about 2 minutes, let it drag and literally put the rod under my knee, just relaxing a little bit for 15, 20 minutes, snacking, and sure enough, I hooked one, and I thought, man, is it my technique this whole time? Like, is this really my technique?
I need to drop my rod.
I tried this all day long. It was the closest thing a live bait fishing as it can get without being live bait.
I came around that. There was like two in this finger that we came. There was like 2 90-degree bends in it. It's like a big zigzag, but either way, I came around that one bend. I heard this big flop coming by this boat, and if you're familiar with the area, around it's right around Reading, Pennsylvania, but Blue Marsh, there's not too many really fancy people around. I guess in Reading there is, but this guy had probably $150,000 bass cat. Either way, I hear a big flop right next to his boat. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I was like going past him, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm pretty good and stuff. He goes, man, I wish you would have came around that bend, 2 minutes earlier. He goes, I just caught a big old muskie on a wacky rig because it took him a long time. He had 8-pound test on. He said it took him forever to reel it in. He said he had it on GoPro. He had a little GoPro right at his dash pointing, in the front of his boat. But yeah, he I don't know if he ended up coming down right where I ended the day there, and I caught my last fish.
I saw him the other day. We were we were conspiring if he was pan fishing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was pan fishing.
It's very well possible because Blue Marsh does hold a lot of species. I mean, there's a lot of fish in there.
Yeah,
it's very abundant, but it's a different pattern. You got fish deep, you got fish in the middle, and you have fish on the banks and going down
like,
it's different. There's shelves, carp.
Oh my god,
carp! I mean, they're going nuts all over from the middle to the outs. And
when we pre-fished it, it was the carp spawn, and they were freaking everywhere.
And the bass were there too. And it was usually when I see carp, I know that they can shake up a lot of things on the bottom, especially when they're active like that. But not normally. It's not but they were around them. So
yeah, there's a couple.
What did you finish Blue Marsh in? Oh yeah, the state record flathead.
Oh yeah, flathead
was broken actually recently.
It was just broken, but
that's where it was.
So in Pennsylvania, the past 4 or 5 years, the state record for flathead catfish has been broken like 3 or 4 times. But at one point, I think at one point it was Blue Marsh, and I think it was like 54 pounds. And then the one after that, I think it was the year after, it was broken down in the Schuylkill down by Philly, and then it was just broken down in Lancaster County on the Susquehanna.
So who wins, 15-pound snakehead or a 60-pound flathead?
On rod and reel?
No, who wins?
I don't know.
So that's the next takeover. You got the 60-pound flathead, or you got the 15-pound, 20-pound snakehead.
Yeah, flathead just destroys.
Just gulp it.
Yeah, they destroy stuff. That's for another talk, though. We're going on a tangent here now. But anyway.
So what did you end up finishing at Blue Marsh?
I got 6th place.
6th.
Yeah, 6th place at Blue Marsh. I was happy with it for how that day went. I was fine with it.
Yeah, and the conversations you have during the day, I'm very happy, with that for yourself as well. I'd be happy, but submitting 2 fish, being top 10, it's a grind. It was another grind, and some more opportunity. That's how I see things. There's plenty of opportunity. The good thing is learning constantly, and
honestly, if I could go back and change what I did that day, I wouldn't change a thing. It's just I made those long runs and stuff, but that's the way I fish, and I like moving. I like going to find something, and if I don't find it there, I'm going to go somewhere else or come back to where I did find it earlier.
Yeah.
That's just it. That's just it. But yeah, let's
did we fish it a week later?
I think it was
Mock Chunk?
Following weekend we fished Mock Chunk. Now Mock Chunk is a smaller reservoir that's up by Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. And it is one of those clear, pickerel-filled, grassy on one side, rocky on the other side. Just not really much to... The only structure in it is like old stumps, maybe. In the back there's lily pads and stuff.
Yeah, there's some weeds
grass,
that make to the top.
Rocks.
But you're talking a very small...
gradual cove. There's not many points where it goes, it's
very
a gradual
clear water, very healthy ecosystem.
It is.
Mock Chunk is very healthy. And it's arguable whether or not the pickerel, some of the locals or guys that have been fishing for a long time say it's they overrun it. It's just part of the cycle. If there's a good abundance of feed for one species and not the other, and they're going to take over.
That species going to take over.
And that water is fresh as it gets, and those pickerel can stay hidden, and they're fast, and whether it's cold or hot, they're on the prowl.
Yeah. Another fishery that is not known for you ain't going to catch an 8 or 10 pounder.
Yeah.
If there's some in there, I hope there is.
What was the winning pickerel was 26 and a half inches.
26 and a half.
Is that what it was? 26 or 24?
They did a pickerel side pot. Yeah, 26 and a half inches.
So that's a big pickerel. They do get big. There is a lot of them.
They're probably bigger than that now.
Caught more bass than pickerel that day, but most people catch more pickerel.
Yeah. I was probably right about even.
50, yeah.
Yeah, 50-50.
That and 500. But Mock Chunk, I thought I was going to have a lot of people with me on the side of the bank. We took off, and that was the first day for me with the motor guide.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I had problems with my depth finder, at the start of the morning, and settings and that kind of left me without that. And actually, the battery died. No big deal, because it actually turned out to be a very good, productive day for me. And I went to the far bank, and from where we launched, and I thought for sure 50% of people were going there, but no, everybody kind of hunkered down below the launch and just a little bit above, which JR and I, we went, kind of neck and neck there for, a good bit. And as you peeled off, I was still motoring along, and I was happy as shit with the motor guy. The motor guy was like it was very windy.
Saw you going. I'm like, yeah, that's the cat's pajamas.
Man, it was nice to actually eat and still move water.
Yeah. Like he said, like Kev said, we peeled off from the launch. It was a shotgun start, and we peeled off, and he kept going. He had his plan. He stuck to it. I had my plan, stuck to it. I fished this point, and I have a little bit more knowledge. I won a tournament last year at this place, and
I didn't even get it.
And I knew what it was going to take to win, and I knew where I won last year, and it could have happened there, I think, still, but it didn't. And by the way, this was a MLF style no limit, so as many as you could put on the board over 12.
Yeah,
that's what it was, and I didn't catch a fish, for the first, little bit of the day, and I started drifting back to where I won the tournament right in front of the boat launch, and started hitting a couple fish there, but it got really busy at that boat launch. I mean, it was boat after boat after boat was pulling in, launching, coming basically right to me, and then that's where they were starting to fish.
Yeah.
Like, they eventually dispersed, but, I mean, there must have been 12 boats that launched there in the time frame that I was trying to fish it, and they all kind of just, like, as soon as they launched, they just started fishing and troll a motor around, and
Yeah, I didn't. I was up a little bit further. Didn't really notice any of that. I did notice there was a little bit of a mess of boats at one point. I seen down, and I didn't think you were down, or thought you were away from that. But you're near the launch. I mean, you got a lot of boats. Now in hindsight, I look at it. I wasn't, just like I was the tournament before, I was worried about boats where you really weren't. Now, here's a tournament that you kind of worried about them and I didn't. And it's just a matter of being in that situation, and I think, for both of us, I think it's a learning point where, you go back to, well, how are you doing and what can you do to do better? Because, Mock Chunk, I didn't really have that thought because I didn't see it. So even if I did see it, it's a matter of, for me, I think just excusing that and say, okay, don't think about it. Yeah. Because I was doing good in the morning, though. It all goes away when you're catching fish.
Yeah, it does.
Right? And immediately, so I did see people around me. I actually gave, one angler, a little lip because, he literally asked how I was doing. He said I was, in a good spot, whatever. And he hunkered next to me, and I said, hey, are you going to take these, with you as well?
Yeah.
To the top? Because we had a conversation. So But I caught fish immediately. It was right away one of those connections, just like you had the week before. It was like, okay, planned it all out. I kind of visualized where I wanted to put that, where the rocks were going to be, and that's where it was. I mean, I actually surprised myself because, I was a little bit... I threw back onto the bank at one point, and then I slammed the biggest pickerel that I caught. But I didn't even measure it. Even at 8 in the morning, at a 19-inch pickerel, it was probably all but close to 20, and I was like, I'm not going to measure it. I made a decision. I'm like, I'm not going to play with it right now, and, because fishing was good. Fishing was real good for me because I think the biggest thing is I had the motor, and I knew everybody, if you didn't have spot lock specifically, the wind was west, it was up. East, it was northwest,
it was northeast, and it would spin 15, in circles.
20, and it kept going and going and going, and guys, would cast one way, and they'd be drifting in the opposite direction all of a sudden, and their retrieve would be not where they wanted.
Yeah.
Just for example, I had that, but I did have spot lock. I'd work around these things, and I used a motor the whole day. So huge investment there, and just it allowed me to learn more about what I was doing, not versus the
Struggling with the wind.
boat, and the wind, and trying to control. I've always said I had issues with trekking, and I still will, but this is.
Well, tell everybody what kind of boat you're running.
So it's a bona fide SS 127. It's a 22 model, and I got it because it was the highest to sit on kayak. It was the highest seat. I needed it real high, and I have a river stick on. I didn't use it for mock chunk, but I have the river stick. I'll be utilizing that in 2 days here, the Susquehanna, which I love it for that. And so we just put the XI3 on with a Lowrance Elite 7 depth finder, and still haven't utilized all those capabilities. So the motor guide's new, the depth finder's new. It's an upgrade. Last year I had the Striker 4, which is it was enough to get started to read the water temperature. And we were fishing river last year, so it didn't come in like lakes this year. It's huge. So so that's a another big investment and learning experience. Have 2 switch panels on the boat, for all lighting and then devices, and then trying to run GoPro. I've had some issues with that early on here, so that's basically the setup. It's the top of the line now. You're at the top basically, without pad optics or anything like that. You're at the top. But how many
fish did you catch that day? Submittable.
I think 6.
You submitted 6.
Yeah, because I think we were the only 2 over. So I was at 6. Leader was at 7.
Okay.
He was the only 7. I think there was one other person possibly with 6, or I could be mistaken.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it was, 7-6. And we won't get into the what ifs, ands, and buts, but I can catching fish all day wasn't hard to come by. Going through 2.5 packs of Senkos, just like JR and I talked about. We literally went through like the same amount of Senkos at the end of the day. It was an Oaxaca rig. I mean, there was different ways that I would go about. Actually, my biggest success there at Muck Chunk was a very good day for skipping, and I would aggressively get it underneath the lowest limb possible and shoot it about 5-6 feet back to the bank under that limb.
Yeah.
And it only it was, of course, as soon as that thing dipped 3 inches, it was slurped down, and the tough part was battling those trees with the wind. And also, trying to keep my motor off the grass and rocks.
Yeah.
So there was elements there that, of course, were introduced that other people didn't face. But I would much rather be in that situation that landed me in 3rd place rather than struggling more with a lot of that wind.
Yeah. Most of the pack ended up right in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe like I would have bet it was 15 foot, maybe 20 foot in there, because I went and dropped the Senko down on the bottom in there, and a lot of people would drop shot, and then a lot of people had success with drop shotting. But it's funny. A good friend of our, another Kevin, he tied me for 1st place last year, but I had the bigger fish, so I ended up getting 1st. And he ended up, I think he submitted 1 fish. I submitted 2 fish. Tim utilized his graph on that tournament because I remember specifically him saying, hey, there's something, there's a good something log or something here, and I see fish all over it. And I remember him catching a fish right at that spot. So he was utilizing his graph there. But, me and him only caught two submittable bass that day. And you came out on top, 3rd place, and you had a good day. There's not too much to say about Mock Chunk. I mean, anything, like we said, it's a smaller lake, or reservoir, and anywhere upwards of like 40 anglers is, it's a lot. I mean, you're going to be on top of somebody. You got away from it all, pretty much. I mean, for the most part, you were away from it all.
Yeah.
Not many people went down there.
No, it was actually fun. Actually, to get closer to Brest, there was actually out by the beach there. There was a whole family, of about 8 people on kayaks, just enjoying it and watching the fishing going on, and just laughing and talking. And I can, I'd sense them there. We were getting close as I was coming up towards them, and I caught into a couple fish, and some kids were able to, see that and like, cheering along. So it actually was,
That was pretty cool.
I had a little bit of motivation behind me too, because I had a little bit of a crowd here. So my experience with people on boats was more so with people, just leisurely floating, and it was only this pod that was up there by the breast. The breast got really cool. I will add though that reservoir fishing, I do love Muck Chunk. Muck Chunk is the only second time I've been there. You took me there, you guys, you showed me when we took the trailer up there, and of course I cheered you on last year when you were, when you got your first win, and but I do love the place. I love the clear water. I love the big rocks.
It's nice.
It is a really cool fishery, and I mean that by it's nice. And it's also cool breeze. You're gonna get breeze. The both times I've been there, the winds, I've tried to watch them, predict them, and hope for them, and they always go the opposite way. And it always comes back again. And it's a swirl of wind up there. It's a valley essentially. It's a reservoir within a valley on top of the biggest mountains in our area. Within 15 miles. So there is a lot of that.
That it's very similar to Roaring Creek there. Roaring Creek, where we went to, is really cold. That's when you...
It's a little bit higher in the mountain, though. The Roaring Creek's a little bit higher up, whereas
I think so.
Elevation is lower on a even bigger mountain. So but it's very similar setting, absolutely. Actually, I seen a bald eagle, too. So I don't know if that's any good luck.
I think I did see a bald eagle.
He was on my side. I seen he,
maybe I heard him, but either way.
I was like,
but yeah,
I think I heard him first, and then I seen him. It was pretty cool to see.
And that was a Slay Nation tournament, and all those guys were cool.
Yeah, I mean, TJ, awesome job. And,
TJ did an awesome job. He actually had a birthday to go to. It was his daughter's birthday, I think, that day that he had to go to, and he put on a good show, and then he skedaddled pretty quick after the awards and everything.
Which is good. It made it short, sweet. I mean, we were always...
Yeah, it was nice. And it's right at the boat launch there. You don't have to, drive, 20 minutes for, award ceremony. But either way, it was very nice. There's not really much more to go on about Muck Chunk. I mean... wacky rig.
Yeah, the wacky.
That's about sums that up. But so here we are. We had 2 weekends off now, and we have one of the most anticipated tournaments this year coming up, and it is back on the Susquehanna River. Bread and butter.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is.
I'm so excited.
I went out yesterday for an estimate for work, and I met a client, new client, and it was in the back of Likens, a couple row homes in the back, and I said, this is one of my favorite places to come. And she said, you do work out here? I said, no, you're the first one I'd be doing work for. I said, but this is on the way to the river.
It is.
And this is on the way. You are in the stomping grounds of Susquehanna. And the closer I can get my work to Susquehanna, the better my life will be, because that's where my heart is.
Yeah, it is a
it's a great river.
Place. There's world-class smallmouth fishing. I read about Tennessee. I read about New River, Virginia, stuff like that. But man, they're a different fish. They're a different breed of fish.
What about a state versus state river challenge?
That'd be pretty cool.
1 weekend.
Best of the best smallmouth.
You go to the, you got the Delaware can keep the Jersey. You got whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. I mean, Potomac was awesome. I mean, can we do smallmouth? What can we muster up for a state-to-state challenge?
Just a smallmouth showdown.
Smallmouth showdown.
Yeah, as many as you catch and the biggest.
Show me your smallies.
Yeah.
Show me your small. We got the biggest smallie of them all.
Yeah. Oh man.
But we can make a song about.
Oh god. I think it's just one of the most epic smallmouth, and I mean when you catch a smallmouth and you're in, up at Lake Champlain or up on Erie or something, you catch a smallmouth. I mean, you catching those 5, 6, sometimes I think I seen 7-pounders caught, but you're catching big smallmouth up on those lakes. But I just can't. I never caught one on those lakes, so I can't say much. But I can't fathom pound for pound fighting as hard as a Susquehanna smallmouth.
Yeah. A smallmouth, I can only speak for the smallmouth on Susquehanna, the size of a football. When you get one the size of a football, it's straight football. Nothing taller, nothing longer.
is a football.
It feels like any other trophy that you're gonna have on.
Just back muscles.
You just hope you're in a pool and not the current.
Yeah.
You just let him do his thing. Don't try and force. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that's literally, we talked about this last week. I know you and Timmy went out, and you guys had mentioned, like, wow, man, the fight of a 14.5-inch fish, smallmouth compared to catching any of these 18 plus largemouth, because it was a slow start to the season of just lake fishing.
Yeah.
Like Jake would call them ditch pickles. I love the
ditch pickles.
Ditch pickle. This is perfect. So you get one of these smallies on that are even under 15 inches, and it literally feels like your first place fish in these other tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock to anybody or anything. It's just the fact of the matter that Susquehanna smallies are not small. They don't fight.
But any standard, they're not small, and they don't give up either. Me and Timmy fished it on this past Saturday morning, and then the tournament is on this Saturday, but we fished it on this past Saturday, and we only did like a morning trip. It was, I think, put in was like 6:30, and then we got out around 11. But, I just worked my way up, having the pedals now and not having a paddle. I was able to work my way up from where we launched and just fishing between some islands, and on my way up I caught some, and the first one that I caught, like you said, was like a 14.5-incher, and I'm like, oh my god, did I miss this? Like, I haven't had this since last year, and it's been way too long. I mean, it was just absurd, the jumps and the pooling. But either way,
so this week we have the KACPA,
Kayak Anglers of Central PA.
Yes.
Middle Susquehanna.
Middle Susquehanna.
Yeah.
This is, like JR saying, the bread and butter where we launch. It's the middle of it. Is there a lot of hype, pressure, or anything of that nature? Nerves.
Definitely feeling it. This is what I want. This is what I like to do. This is my favorite type of fishing on my favorite section of the Susquehanna, and it's, the pressure's up there for sure. You got some big names actually coming into the list. I seen Edwin Miner. He's up on the board. He's registered. You have some big names. But it don't matter. It's just,
does it have to do that this is your number one, primary place to be?
Yeah.
So that adds the element of pressure and
like I feel
the expectation.
I feel like I don't want to, I don't feel like I have to talk myself up, but this is where I should do good rather than Blue Marsh.
Yeah.
This is what I know best, and this is, me and you, we discussed it all, and we know what's going on, and most of the time we think we know what's going on.
I feel you there. For me, and it's like you must
catch fish.
You must do well.
Yeah.
You must place here.
Yeah.
What does must mean? What is your expectation? I mean, what is that?
Well,
let's
get into the downright fine lines of it, but what do you think's going to take it to win? How many inches? 5 fish limit?
So it's winning is number one. I mean, that's the must.
Yeah.
You
got to win.
So when it all comes down to it, we all must win.
Yeah.
And
me, you, and Timmy fish as like not necessarily a team, but there's only one winner.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And all of us want to win.
You only hope that we do 1, 2, 3 at the end of it. But
yeah.
You're the only number one.
Yeah, exactly.
Your question again was,
how many inches do you think you need to put up to get that top spot?
So the stretch is from Faber Dam, and down to City Island in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Big stretch of river. I've seen as big as last year, 95.5, 94 and 3/4, I think it was, for Hobie in one day. The Hobie event, I don't expect much less than that right now.
No,
I don't. I think it's still above 90, and it's probably 91, maybe a 92 and a quarter, at most. I don't think it'll exceed 90. It's highly unlikely to go over 92. I think 92 is going to be the number.
92 to win it?
92 inches to win.
I think you got to get
That's
94.
between 5 fish. 94.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to put up 97 again, but
yeah.
94, I think it's going to be around to take it.
It's really hard to imagine that because, that's a task,
It's thinking about it now. When I first started fishing the Susquehanna, so like good friends of mine, Nick, Matt, their brothers, and Mike used to take me there, and we would fish and drink beers on our way down through, and we do a good long float in this particular section, and we would catch fish, and we would do pretty good. But since last year is when I really started getting down to what do I need to do to catch a big fish now, and I always remember them talking about, we need to get to that 20-inch mark. We need to get to that 20-inch mark. And then the first tournament that we did last year on a Susquehanna, I put up a 20-incher.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I'd like to thank them for, introducing me to the river. But there's a lot of, if you can imagine, how many possible 20-inchers that are in that section, there's got to be. And then going back to putting up numbers for a tournament, I mean, you put up a 20 and a quarter, or 20 and a half, a 20, and then throw the rest of the day together for, a couple of 18s, couple of 19s. It's possible to put up 100 inches on the board.
Yeah.
It's definitely doable. And I bet you, I could almost bet, and I'm sure people have done it practicing, and but I would be willing to bet in the next 2 years, as long as, water conditions are good for spawning and stuff like that, and, flatheads don't decimate the entire river, I'd be willing to say that there's going to be a tournament that somebody does put up 100 inches in the next 2 years.
It's 5 20-inch fish.
Yeah. Or a 21, a 21 incher and a couple 19s.
If it happens, it's going to be in a smaller tournament.
It could be, yeah.
Because,
pressure wise.
I think you're right. I mean, there's definitely
Potential.
a 20-inch bag.
Yeah.
On a stretch.
Possible. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It is. I think the probability to hook and the likelihood of netting 5 20-inch fish is that's
the kicker.
That is the
because we
challenge.
know what you're going to catch the 20 fish on,
yeah.
And the 20-inch fish on, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I think you've hit those fish in one tournament.
Yeah.
Or setting, and landed and submitted some of them, but they're there.
Yeah, they're definitely there. They're always there.
I'm gonna take 5.
Yep, take 5. Check. All right, good. Lucas, scratch that.
53 minutes.
That's perfect.
No, I mean, we'll get a few minutes in here.
Yeah. My up. He's almost done. What's wrong? Come here.
Should not put a dip in for that.
No, you're good.
We got 10 minutes.
I mean, this one's probably gonna, if you have time, might be a little longer because we still gotta talk about Delaware. Oh, there's not gonna be much to talk about there, actually. Yeah, no, there won't be much to talk about. We never fished it before.
Tiff will be really upset.
Why?
My limit's not 4 anymore. It's 2.
All right, here we go. Back, where were we? Susquehanna River, this tournament coming up. Do we dare talk about lure selection for this yet?
Nobody's going to see it, but...
Oh, yeah, no one will see it till after the tournament. Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about it then. What is it? What is it? What's the lure? We all know it. Everybody should know it by now.
Give me a low, please.
Ned Rig. Oh, let's elaborate on Ned Rigs quick. There's a place for it on my wall, but there's never a place for it in my black pack. I just don't like it. Tim runs it once in a while, but yeah, I don't do the Ned Rig thing. I'm a power fisherman.
If we need a laugh, I'll throw the Ned Rig on.
Yeah,
I will share the story of the Ned Rig.
Yeah. But it's Whopper Plopper. That's what season it is. It's Whopper Plopper season. It is going. I just checked the weather a little bit ago, and it is going to be overcast all day, no wind, thunderstorms late evening. It's Whopper Plopper territory. That's what it
sounds
is.
like it.
That's what it is. Chatterbait.
And I'll throw everything else. And,
Yeah, we're always
come
looking
back. At 1 o'clock, be like, I'm still plopping along.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much that. We both know what we're doing, where we're going, and stuff like that, and it's going to be the Susquehanna. But definitely stay tuned for the next podcast because that's when we're going to discuss on how it actually went down.
Yeah,
and it's going to be good.
I think so. It's going to be a total change up for me. My first approach, even though this is a stretch, this is the first time I take this path.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I am going off a little bit of a beaten path here, giving up a lot of good ground, not giving it up, just not taking it.
Yeah.
Not taking any opportunity in the early onset, and see if I can use the paddles down to get to some spots where I think I can go, 3-4 fish 18 plus. That's my goal is to lock on to a few 18s early on, and I actually thought about not even submitting anything underneath that because it's just an expectation and goal that I want to set for myself.
Yeah.
I'm getting I think I need to get away from it a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up 5 fish. No matter what they are, I'll put up 5. But yeah. Other than that, like when you put up 5 fish and you say you need to call 13 or something, I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing that. I won't. I don't think I'm going to be calling unless it's an 18, 17.
Well, I think there's a focus there. There's a it's like the law of attraction. You catch one fish that's 12 and a half and you want to submit it. It might be the first 15 minutes. You catch another fish within 15 minutes and you want to submit it and it's 13.
Yeah.
Now you just lost a half hour going for the 18.
Yeah.
On 2 fish.
Yeah.
When you just unhook them and put them back.
Yeah.
And by that time you're moving. You're already kind of thinking more. You're kind of got out of the realm. So
I just get really scared that it could very well happen. It doesn't happen likely on the Susquehanna, but it could very well happen that it's just gonna be a bad day.
You know what though? If you put fish back, and you did submit them, and you don't have a limit, you have only to blame but yourself and nothing else.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing else I can blame then.
Yeah.
There's not. It's literally, what do you hear? 12 and a half. We just talked about 92 inches plus winning.
Yeah.
Well.
They ain't gonna do it. They ain't gonna do it.
So if we're not going for the top, I'm not submitting them, and that's kind of, it's just a different approach because I've been very happy and content with top 10s and top 5s and top 3s, and just kind of like weaseling out, for that win. But it's I don't think it's there has to be a time and place where you say, well, when do you commit? And if I'm not worried about anything but just first place and 18 plus fish, then.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. Then just do it. If I see a fish that might be 16, well, it's a question. I'll put them down. If it's depending on the timing, but
you're going to throw some on the board just to get see what they are. But
that's like the Chesapeake. I didn't think 3 fish was going to win this. And it did. So there is that time. But I'm going to waste not waste time on a little bit smaller fish because I know the Susquehanna is going to bring them. And they're going to bring them hot, and it's going to be a frenzy. Yeah. And it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah. You think somebody's gonna put up a 20-incher?
Yes.
There's definitely gonna be a 20-incher put up.
Yes.
Yeah. I caught a 19 and a quarter the other day. There's gonna be a 20-incher put up. Yeah. But I'm actually gonna be in 2 tournaments for this tournament. Gonna be that tournament, the KACPA, and then I'm in a Slay Nation monthly tournament that is nice because you could write the identifier code on your hand instead of having to mess with 2 identifiers for this tournament. But either way, we'll see what happens. Make sure you, like I said, stay tuned for the next podcast and see what comes of it. But and I'm going to be filming this one for sure. Kev's going to probably try, so we'll have that video too. But anyway. Going on to the next event after that one, which is the next weekend, I believe.
Next weekend, yes.
Is the MAKBF Delaware River.
15th, yep.
So
that's secretly, I did say that as we were getting to Susquehanna, I didn't want to take away from Susquehanna because it is the heart, but the MAKBF is what I'm most looking forward to and running with that series and the Delaware. I have extremely high expectations. Susquehanna. I'm gonna target down that range I'm talking about. Target those fish, and if I don't get them, it's on myself. But I'll put them on a board. But when it comes to the Delaware and MAKBF, I'll be grinding, slapping, pinching, poking, fighting. Because I want to run with these guys. I mean, it's a good travel. It's a great experience to share all those types of stories as well.
Oh yeah, it's definitely my favorite. Not saying that the other ones ain't great, the other trails, but MAKBF is where it's at for me too. I'm a little bit more, I'm a little less excited about it because I wasn't able to do a lot of them, the Potomac and stuff, because my son was pretty young at that point, and how that goes with the wife. But MAKBF, all those guys, great guys. I still talk to them. If I ever have any questions, I go to Jake or anybody out of them. Trey Leach is a great guy. He just actually, did you see that? He just launched his new innovative. Yeah, he just launched his new kayak, floatable kayak, floatable, inflatable kayak.
Yes.
That all those guys run, and it looks sick. I mean, best of the best for the river probably. So. But all those guys are great guys, and they will answer any question you ever have. But going on to Delaware, I've never fished in Delaware in my life.
And I fished it 2 times, but from the bank. More as a up here. Father-in-law he'd take me down there. I never knew the Delaware several years ago, and some bait fishing, and I threw some lures and stuff. A lot of big boats and activity coming through the center and the channels there down towards Levittown. So this stretch is a little bit different. It looked exciting for me. Going through some towns there, pretty long stretch, and it does remind me of the Susquehanna a little bit. It has the same color. There is that murkiness to it. It's only about a third of the size of Susquehanna from what I've seen. So it's.
They were actually talking about not having. So the 15th is the MAKBF Delaware River, and then the weekend after that is the KAEPA Delaware River event, and they were actually talking about canceling both of those due to low water.
Yeah.
And safety wise. But we got some rain. They're both on as of right now. MAKBF is definitely on. I don't know if I've seen KAEPA post anything yet, but I think for this thing, I think they're both on. But I know.
I think we've had the rain, unless we get, like if we have a couple of days like we did now, high 80s, 90, and if we get another 5 days like that, then it would be questionable if we didn't have rain.
Yeah.
I don't think so. If anything, I would think KAE is going to follow footsteps of MAKBF after the fact, but of course evaluating that week if it's not bad, and that's what should be done. I mean, it has to be evaluated. I mean, here's us, never been on a Delaware, and there's high conversations, traffic about the conversations about the possibilities of danger. Delaware being shallow, and not like Susquehanna. Susquehanna, we fished it in. We drug our kayaks and waded, a lot of Susquehanna, and it doesn't appear to be that way. And I'm going to check out the videos as well, because I know they posted a couple specifically for the Delaware. I'd love to get out there before the tournament.
I would too, but it's just I don't know if I'm going to be able to. But either way, my whole take on the Delaware is I'm going to fish it like I fish the Susquehanna. That's the way I'm going to start, and go from there. And you might throw a curveball at me, and I'll be ready for that because I'll have everything with me and ready to go. But if it comes down to it, I'm still not throwing an Ed rig.
Yeah.
But it's just something different. New waters, kayak in the kayak. So we'll see how it goes.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. But that's pretty much it for this episode. Definitely check us out on 570 Kayak Fishing on YouTube, and that's where these podcasts will be posted. We're not going to do anything, any podcasts on anything else. We're just going to use YouTube platform for now. But would you like to thank anybody?
Yeah, thank you for anybody viewing.
Yeah,
and adding any feedback, comments. Please comment.
Yeah, please
follow along. Anybody wants to jump in.
All you Ned rig hater or lovers out there, you could hate on me all you want.
Give us a call, message, text us.
And if anybody ever wants to come and check out the Susquehanna, if you don't live close, you could always message us or comment or something, and we'll give you a tour of it for sure. We'll go out with you, show you around, and if anybody is getting into the kayak tournament scene and wants to do some bigger tournaments, you do your local trails and stuff. There's some serious tournaments on the Susquehanna River, usually Hobie BOS. They won't have one this year on the Susquehanna, but they have in the past. The Big Bass Power Hour by Native, and at the end of the year, it's the Bass Masters, and that is a big one.
Yeah. Well, last year I met Doug, a guy in the river, a week before my biggest Susquehanna tournament. There was 69 anglers. That's the day the Hobie was going on. That was MAKBF event I was in.
Yeah.
And I offered my kayak to a guy I met the week before.
Yeah.
And he, I loaded it up for him and brought it there, and he brought his tackle, a couple of things he had, and a fly rod, so that was pretty cool to see. He did very well, but he didn't have the right catch board. So
he didn't have a catch board. He had a hog trough.
We're huge advocates of this sport, hobby, and passion that we love. Yeah. So we always offer that.
Definitely, if you have any questions about any of it all, we will definitely answer them for you or find out the answer for you.
Yeah. thanks for supporting, and
yeah, appreciate it, and
enjoyed it.
we'll catch you next time. Shoot us some luck for these next couple tournaments, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks. Bye.
All right.